All right, everyone, welcome back to the Healthy Body Podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Wilkerson, holistic health and life coach, essential oils advocate, and CrossFit Level 1 trainer, and your host. And today we have with us Jennifer Espinosa Goswami. Woo, I think I got it. And she's just, a health and wellness coach, motivational speaker, and if you ever follow her in the online space, she's just very inspirational in where she's come from, what she does, and how she cares for her health and her family. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so can you just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, and kind of tell us a little bit what you do as a health and wellness coach?
Yeah, so my name is Jen, and you got my name right, so kudos to you, Espinosa Goswami. Not many people can get through that. I hyphenated my name, and I realized after the fact that probably that was a difficult thing to do. But as Brianna mentioned, I am a health and wellness speaker, so I present to companies, organizations, women's groups, all about how to live healthy. And to me, healthy doesn't necessarily mean that you eat a lot of kale, you do cleanses, or you're into that sort of thing, but it has more to do with your state of mind and whether you feel comfortable and blissful in your body. Mm-hmm. So a little bit more about how I came to this journey, because, all of us usually have a personal transformation story. I was a girl who grew up morbidly obese, which means I was 100 pounds over what my ideal weight was. My poor pediatrician, she tried so hard to get me to lose weight, and I was a very stubborn kid, and I didn't think I needed to take anyone's advice, and I was enjoying my life because I was a very active kid as well. So I was like, I'm healthy enough, I'm doing fine, there's nothing wrong with me, leave me alone. And so I lived my childhood just doing what I liked to do, eating what I liked to eat, which unfortunately was a lot of processed and boxed foods because we were a family of 6 on a budget. And eventually I got to the point where I was 100 pounds over my ideal weight. And in college, I decided to change my life. Just one day. Not because I was miserable, not because I hit rock bottom, nothing like that. But my grandmother passed away. And death is often a wake-up call for a lot of us. But she was a big role model to me and an inspiration. She died at the age of 88 years old. She was a very cute little old lady who would sell the most raffle tickets at her church, and her first language was Spanish. She learned English from her children. She raised her 6 children on her own after her husband passed away in his 40s of a heart attack. And despite her limited education and her limited ability to communicate in English, she was an amazing woman who traveled across the country, even made it to Mexico. And she just was there for every single important event in my life and all of my siblings' life. And I wanted to be just like Grandma. So I said, I'm not going to get to 88 years old if I'm already 100 pounds overweight and I'm already, gaining weight every year, because that was a trend for me. And despite the fact that I'm active, I'm probably not the healthiest I could be. So I decided to change, and I didn't want to do it with a support group, with products or anything like that. There weren't a lot of products because this was 20 years ago. So there weren't a lot of products widely available back then. And I said, what can I do? And I just started with what I could do. Within 1 month, I lost 20 pounds. And I said, wow, what else can I do? So I just kept going. And over the course of the next year, I lost 100 pounds. And it was a challenge for me. It took me several years to embrace my new identity. Because if you spent your entire childhood being the overweight girl and the obese girl, you get used to being called certain things. You get used to seeing yourself in a certain way. You get used to dressing a certain way because there's no cute clothes available if you're seriously overweight. So there's none. So I had to really kind of embrace a new identity. And that's why I call myself a former fat girl, not because I'm thin. It wasn't about being thin, but because I shed that emotional feeling, that connection to feeling like a fat girl. So I'm excited to support other people who feel fat or feel uncomfortable in their bodies and have some health goals that they want to reach, but don't want to do it the traditional way, don't want to do it the trendy way. They want to do it in a way that fits their unique lifestyle and their unique needs. And that's how I support people.
That's such an amazing story. And I was like writing down tons of notes, but I love how you said, you wanted to be just like your grandma in the sense of just being there and showing up for those you love. And so you're like, okay, well, I need to take care of my health so I can get there. And then so powerful that you kind of were like, okay, what can I do? You just started with that question And it's a simple question, yet it's so hard, because I think when many of us come to our health, we're just like, what is the guaranteed, like, 10-step plan? I'm just going to change everything. But you're like, let me see, what can I do now? And you lost 20 pounds. And you're like, okay, what can I do now? And that's what I really love that you model. It's just, it takes that one step, looking at one area of your health, one area of your life. And then over time, you lose 100 pounds in a year. And, and more so powerful than that, I love that you talked about the emotional connection, and having to come up with a new identity. Like, you were someone different, but you had to believe that. And yeah, I love that you're like, former fat girl. It's like, that's so taboo to say, but yet it is like, when you say that, you're like, I'm no longer this. Wow. And that mental and emotional connection. So powerful. So kind of tell us a little bit then, you speak to different organizations, you kind of do lead women's groups. So, like, you love speaking. Or do you do anything else? Do you do coaching? And how does that look?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a funny story because I never envisioned becoming a health coach. And it was due to what my audiences were saying to me after they would come up after a presentation. And I give all props to Toastmasters International, which is a public speaking organization. I took that, I was working at a financial service firm locally here, and that was kind of a personal development need of mine. I'm like, oh, well, let me see if I can speak, because I didn't have to speak for my job. And when I started that process, I started becoming an officer within the organization. I participated in speech contests, and I had so much passion and fun doing presentations, but those were like 5-minute presentations. And finally, after several years of participating in Toastmasters, someone came up to me. It was the first time I shared my story. I called it the loser. So it was the first time I shared my story of how I used to be much heavier than I was at the time I was speaking. And it was kind of a mystery. I didn't share that it was I used third person for the entire presentation. And not till the end did I reveal it was actually me. And my mentor in Toastmasters came up to me and she said, that was beautiful. And I need to do something about my health now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this was just a small little piece of how I can support people. And my mentor was so blown away by it, but that she wants to change her habits. So that planted a seed for me, but it took several years before I lost my job full time. And I said, what am I passionate about? So I came back to that moment and my mentor telling me how impactful that presentation was. And I said, I'm passionate about not just presenting, but sharing messages of hope and healing, no matter what that looks like. So I started my business, Weightless, as a public speaking business. I was just going to share my story, and that's all I was going to do with it. So I didn't intend to become a health coach. Eventually, my audiences would come up to me, individuals, they come and share, oh, this really touched me, that really touched me. But then they would say, well, how do I work with you? And I didn't really know. I didn't have an answer for them. So eventually I came to the realization that despite the fact that I'm not certified, and I own that, like I'm not a certified coach, but I have a master's degree in leadership. I have plenty of, street smarts, and I know how to talk and listen to people. So given the skills that I have, why can't I be a health coach? So I decided to offer health coaching services. I do both individual and group programs. And I really like establishing that connection with people because we create a customized path. I do have some basic structure. We follow a certain process. There's a 4-step process that we follow whenever I work with someone, but I am not stuck on any particular program. Like I don't say you have to be keto or you have to be gluten-free or you have to follow Whole30. I don't follow any particular type of restrictions or structure, I guess you could say. I follow a process, which is why it's really powerful because you can try a bunch of different things. And I have tried personally a bunch of different things in my life. But, you keep following the same process and it's always going to work for you 100% of the time. Your tools and techniques may change, but the process will always remain the same.
So good. And I love what you're saying. I think like you, I do love speaking because you can impact people in a very particular way in a moment where everyone's listening. But I think regardless of me, if I went to being a health coach school or not, I just love actually what you're saying, love that one-on-one connection because everyone's journey is different. And I just love that your audience identified that. They're like, okay, more than just being motivated and inspired, because we all can listen to motivational and inspiration, which we need sometimes. We need to actually take action. And sometimes that means working with a coach, working with, being held accountable in some way. And I love what you do too. Like, I love the Whole30, and I think it's a great way to reset. And I love certain ways of eating. But when people come to me, that's not what they need. Similar to you, they just need to kind of just go on this journey and take what you're saying, these different steps. So I don't know if you can share it. What are those 4 steps that you kind of just at least walk your clients through?
Well, the first step, and this follows quite a bit of what I did when I was personally going through my weight loss journey. The first step is creating awareness around your current habits. So we take a daily lifestyle inventory when we schedule a phone call with me, which I call a weight loss breakthrough session. We take an inventory of what your day looks like, because if there's anything I've learned as a mom, as a speaker, as someone who used to work full-time while building my business on the side, if you can't manage your time, you can't prioritize your time, you're not going to achieve your goals no matter what those goals are. So we take an inventory. What do you have going on right now? What is challenging for you? And then we take a look at the gaps. Okay, where are the gaps between what you're doing today and where you hope to go? So we talk a lot about what have you tried before, what worked and what didn't work. I see too many people decide to completely refresh and start fresh when some things worked for them in the past. There's no reason to throw it out for you if it worked for you. But sometimes we feel this pressure to do whatever worked for our neighbor, whatever worked for our mom, whatever worked for someone close to us, even if it wouldn't necessarily serve us. So we take a look at that challenges and things that worked previously in the past for you, and then we kind of build that in. Then we take a look at the strategy. Okay, so we know what your day looks like, your lifestyle looks like. We know where you want to get to. Where do we strategize for you? And it could be as simple as eating breakfast every day. It could be as simple as drinking more water. But we try to focus on one major goal at a time until it feels like an established habit. And, I don't know if you've all heard, but that whole myth that it takes 30 or 60 days to change a habit is a complete myth. It was based on one research study that was totally unrelated to the majority of the population. So it was a really isolated circumstance. What makes things work for you from a habit standpoint is very individual. So we look at that too. And then finally, we review. So the last step is to review. After going through a program with me, and I have programs from 6 weeks long to 6 months long, we consistently review, okay, what worked? What didn't work? And then we go forward with the things that really worked, and we throw out the things that didn't work. It's an iterative process. It's meant to be. And I know that, 20 years ago, what I was doing to lose 100 pounds is different than what I'm doing today when I'm training for my first half marathon or something like that. I have to change what I'm doing and follow the same process in order to get there.
That's so simple, yet so you're right. It can be challenging, but I love it. It's just this idea of like calling people back to really look at their unique circumstance, their unique body, their unique needs, versus like one size fits all. And I love the aspect of even reviewing, because I think we always forget, and I try to do this with my clients and the women that I work with. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you didn't go exercise this week, but did you actually eat breakfast? Like you said, oh, great. Like let's celebrate that. But let's also think about what held you back from exercising, and I just think sometimes, especially women, we're just so hard on ourselves that we forget to celebrate what we have done. So I love that 4-step process of creating awareness around our daily habits, looking at the gaps, strategy, and then reviewing. And so if someone's listening right now and they're like, okay, I want to get started to being weightless, what is your top tip or piece of encouragement that you would give them?
My top encouragement, and I do this in my presentations too, my favorite presentation, which is release your inner Wonder Woman, is you are more powerful than you know. I think the pressure is there, especially as women, to look outside of ourselves for a solution. But we have more power within ourselves to make amazing changes happen. And I see this happening a lot, especially in today's society, the divine feminine, we make change happen for reasons. Other organizations like Mothers Against Drunk Driving have achieved amazing things because they had a passion and they pulled from their power within themselves. The same is true. You can certainly leverage that power to do whatever you're passionate about. So if you have a passion for making change in your health, you absolutely have the power to do that. If you don't have the resources to work with someone like you or I, that's fine. You still can do something where you are today. Like, take a look. What can I do? There's usually one or two very simple and easy things that you can do, even if it's just writing down what you eat every day. That really moved the needle for me, because I started creating awareness around, oh my gosh, I guess I shouldn't eat an entire frozen pizza and a 4-scoop ice cream sundae in one sitting. I knew kind of that I was eating way too many calories, up to 4,000 sometimes, but I didn't create awareness around that. So I could pretend that it wasn't happening. So we all have tools at our disposal, no matter where we are, what our situation is. We always have those tools. And when we leverage those tools, we're so powerful when we make that change happen.
So good. I love that. You're right. Sometimes we're looking to all of these outside sources. And I don't know, when you started your business, you probably felt the same, like, oh, I got to do this and do this. Like, got to listen to this coach or listen to this podcast. And sometimes it's like, but I actually just need to take a moment and write down what I think I should do. And it's the same thing in your health, your life, your business. And I love that. That's so true. We're so much more powerful than we think. And it is that, what you're saying, what can I do today? And even if you're saying, like, even if it's not a paid capacity, there's so many great free resources. Like, you have a free group, I have a free group, and we post all kind of stuff, and there's podcasts, and just really making a plan for yourself and taking that initiative. And I think the biggest thing I see for myself and women is seeing ourselves as a priority. Because when we start to see ourselves as a priority, we will make the time, because it's not always about money. It's just about time, and you're a mom, I'm not a mom yet. So it's like, you probably know how hard it can be sometimes with, you have little humans waiting on you and needing you. So I just love that. So thank you so much for sharing everything with us. I know you have a freebie and a giveaway you want to talk about. You want to share that with us?
Absolutely. So I mentioned that sometimes moving the needle for you personally will be just having a consistent breakfast that you eat. I'm a big fan of breakfast. I'm on the National Weight Control Registry, which means that they track the habits of people who have maintained a minimum of 30 pounds weight loss over the course of a year. We average 5 or 6 years of maintenance. I'm in 20 years of maintenance right now. So I'm a big fan of breakfast. And the studies have shown that if you eat a healthy, consistent breakfast every day, then you're 70% more likely to maintain that weight loss. So, even if you're in the beginning of your journey, this is what I consider to be a helpful thing and hopeful thing for most women. So I have what's called a breakfast blueprint. And basically you can mix in, it's a 1-page download where you can mix and match up to 20 different healthy breakfasts. So, if you have dietary intolerances or allergies, you don't have to worry about it, because there will be something you can mix and match from 3 different categories. Everything we eat is one of 3 different macronutrients. I do a macro-based plan. So I identify for you different foods that fit within protein, fat, and carbs. And some of them may be new to you, because you may think that it's a protein when it's actually a fat. So I break it down for you so that it's really easy to understand. You just mix and match. You choose what works for you, and you keep using it for every meal you choose to eat. But it starts with breakfast. That's my free offer. It's available to you. It's a download available to you anytime. And the other thing I'd like to give away, because sometimes you think you want to get started, but you're not clear on what that looks like for you, then I'd like to offer a weight loss breakthrough strategy session where I walk you through a couple of really simple questions to take a daily look at what you're doing, where you want to go ideally, like what is your end goal, and I can help you strategize 1 or 2 really powerful steps that will really make a difference for you. So I'm excited to offer that one, because having that connection with someone, being able to discuss their personal things, their personal challenges, their personal goals is very powerful. And you can't get that from an app. You can't get that from a resource. You can get information, but you don't need more information. Mm-hmm. You need to connect with someone. You need to strategize. And sometimes it's helpful to have that third or second set of eyes taking a look at your situation. When we're too close to it, we can't identify what it is we're actually doing. Mm-hmm. We can try, but it's harder to do that. I want to make it easier for people.
Yeah. So good. Yes. I love that breakfast blueprint, because that's literally what I do sometimes. Just say like, okay, what's in my fridge? I have apples, I have some eggs, I have some coconut oil. Okay. Like whatever's in there. And I just love that you just made it so easy for people, so that it is true. breakfast is so important in so many ways. And I love that you were talking about actually talking with someone through that. So yes, everyone, make sure you check out the blog post that goes with this podcast, where I'll link all of Jennifer's stuff there. And Jennifer, tell us a little bit, if people wanted to find you on social media or the World Wide Web, where would they find you?
I'm on Facebook at the letter B, Weightless. So that's how you find me there. I have live stream videos there weekly, and I have daily accountability posts if you're interested in that. I also have a free Facebook group, which Brianna mentioned. Mm-hmm. It's called Weight No More, WEIGHT, No More. And we also have accountability posts there. It's more private though. So if you're someone who doesn't like to put your business out there on the public, then that's great. That's the perfect group for you. You can also find me on Pinterest if you like to pin healthy recipes. I post a lot of gym-free fitness tutorials, some funny things, some nutrition facts, kind of a plethora of different things that might be helpful for you. And that's under Jegoswam. So JEGOSWAM, like my name.
Yes, I'll be sure to link all of these too as well. So thank you so much. I just am so inspired by you. I love doing these podcasts and talking to health and wellness coaches, because I'm just like, I just want to keep going after this and just know that there's so many amazing people out there who are really trying to fight for this. And so thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for being a leader and for inviting me to join today. I really appreciate it. Of course.
Thank you. And everyone listening, be sure to join my group, Healthy Body Community for Women, where we can unpack this podcast, where I'll share this, and Jennifer's in there, so you can tag her and ask any questions around this too. So thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.